But first, some breaking news this hour. Reports are coming in that a Russian military plane has disappeared from radars shortly after taking off from the Black Sea resort of Sochi. Now, it's thought it had at least 70 people on board. According to one news agency, it was heading to Latakia in Syria. A search operation is now reported to be underway. We will, of course, keep you up to date with the latest on that as soon as we have more.
Network. The Russian Defense Ministry has confirmed it has recovered a body from its crashed plane about 6 kilometers off the coast of Sochi. Emily Sue's in the studio with me now. Emily, can you give me details on this? What do we know?
Well, so far what we know is that a rescue boat has been sent out onto the sea, and they have recovered a body, as you said, about 6 kilometers off the coast of Sochi. Now, initially, when the Ministry of Defense, they confirmed they found wreckage of this plane. It's about 1.5 kilometers off the coast of Sochi. So this could mean potentially that the debris field has expanded, and it may expand even further, because initially we know it's 1.5 kilometers. Now the first body has been covered at about 6 kilometers off the coast. And I also want to update you on the investigative committee. Well, they have launched a criminal investigation into this, and a quote from them says that there's a failure to comply with the rules of flight security and preparation as well. Another thing I want to update you with, Rory, is that the Ministry of Defense also updated on the number of passengers, number of people on board. In the beginning, they said there were only 91, but now they've raised the figure to 92. So 84 passengers and 8 crew on board.
Well, let's get some of the comments from Igor Konashenkov, the Defence Ministry spokesman right now. He's down there actually at Latakia, the airbase off the west coast. A quick comment from Konashenkov now.
All Defence Ministry and other Federal Ministry rescue services are engaged in the search. The Tu-154 was carrying Russian military servicemen, the Alexandrov Orchestra, which was going to perform during New Year celebrations at our Khmeimim airbase, and 9 Russian journalists.
Well, the Tupolev 154, it has been a workhorse of the Russian aviation. It's been in operation, Emily, since the 1960s.
60s, exactly.
It's a pretty standard airplane, though. I mean, there's nothing too shocking or surprising about it. I mean, it can fit 180 people. It's been in air for decades. And we discussed the accident with Jerry Sahatman, an independent aviation consultant. He thinks potentially the time and place of the takeoff could have contributed to the reasons for the crash.
The mountains around Sochi are high, so it would bring some mechanical turbulence. But I am more concerned about the fact that if they took off towards the mountains instead of towards the sea, they would have to make some very steep, they would have made some turns. Now, that's why I mentioned possibility of crew error earlier, because when you're departing at night, you're going towards the mountains and you make turns, you turn out towards the sea, you don't see anything. So there is a possibility of what we call disorientation.
Well, Rory, since this plane has been in operation in the 60s, there's been 39 fatal incidents involving this plane. I can now tell you more about some of those fatal incidents with the more recent ones, and let's take a look. In 2006, a Russian airline plane crashed over Ukraine, killing all 160 people on board. The crew made a critical mistake while trying to avoid a storm. 3 years later, an Iranian airliner crashed in the north of the country. All 168 people on board died. A faulty engine was identified as the cause of the catastrophe. And then, in 2010, a plane carrying Poland's president and other top government and military officials crashed in Russia's Smolensk region while landing. The cabin crew made a mistake in conditions of poor visibility, and there was heavy fog around the airport. And Rory, I know you covered that story at that time in 2010.
Yeah, that was a heart-wrenching story of 2010, and you know, that was another issue of ultimately pilot error with the weather forecast. A heavy fog at the time of the crash of the Smolensk region of the Polish president's plane crash. With this, however, regarding today's loss of the Tupolev 154, we understand a special commission has taken off from Moscow for Sochi with the Russian Ministry of Defense Sergei Shoigu on board. He will help to guide the ongoing search operation. The Russian president's spokesperson said they are in constant contact with Vladimir Putin over the phone. So ultimately, Emily, so what do we know so far? We know that the Tupolev 154, it has been found. It's shortly off the coast of Sochi, where it took off. The depth
The depth is about 50 to 70 meters. And at first, when they first found the wreckage, they spotted the wreckage. It was 1.5 kilometers off the coast. Now, the first body had been recovered at about 6 kilometers, suggesting that the debris field could have been, maybe it's still expanding, really. They're going to be searching in that area just off the coast of Sochi. We know that now there's 92 people on board. 84 passengers, 8 crew, and some of them, at least 9 of them, were journalists.
Wow. And we understand that so the authorities have rescued one body.
Yes, they have recovered
the water.
one body from the water.
All right. That's the latest on the breaking news here. RT's Emily Sue. Thanks very much. We'll see you very soon. Thank you.